Welcome to another Compassion Works for All video. And here we are in Italy. This is Florence. And those of you who live in countries like Italy, where everywhere you look, you see the history of humanity going back thousands of years before the birth of Christ, and then through the architecture and the stories and the art and the myths, you see layers upon layers upon layers of what we have created as human beings throughout the history and the evolution of our existence. And here in Italy, just like in every country in the world, we see that struggle between the battles, the wars between city-states, between countries, between factions in the government, between families trying to gain power one over the other. And then you see the magnificent art and cathedrals and basilicas, the statues, the great depictions of all the religious themes that so deeply touch millions of people throughout time. And even those, for many, become the sources of battles and wars. It seems to be such a profound theme, which we all know about within ourselves, between the good, the part of us that has a sense of our most profound essence, our deepest self, our sacred self, the self that has great compassion for others, and whether it's expressed through Christianity, like in these basilicas, or whatever tradition you follow, pretty much most have many of the same values and ethics and morals and beliefs. To be kind to others, to have compassion for others. Everywhere we go, we see the faces of others, many suffering so much more than we are. And we want to help and make the world a better place. And yet, just as it was between all of these warring factions and city-states and even neighbor against neighbor, we have our internal battles where our own greed, our own anger, our own desire for revenge, our own need to be special and most important and to get what we want rises up and controls our behaviors, oftentimes at the very moment that we're thinking, I don't like this part of myself or that I'm doing this, we simultaneously are compelled to do what we feel so deeply that we need to do. It's not, for most of us, a survival need anymore, but it's so deeply embedded in us. And then we create pain and suffering for ourselves and others. There's those who have great abundance, and that doesn't make them good. They're often just as needy and desperate and feeling so much that they need more. And then there are those who live in poverty. Here in Italy, we see the statues and stories of Saint Francis and Clare and her order of the Poor Clares and his love of animals and birds. And they did a great deal to remind the organized church that their opulence and wealth and power was perhaps not what was being taught in the essence of their religion. This same disparity between our highest principles and our human suffering selves, desperate for our own needs to come first, is not anything that will probably be fixed in the world. So many countries right now are on the brink because of this same disparity between the haves and the have-nots, the ones with power and the ones without. The only thing we can do is find that resolution within ourselves, study our own behaviors, find clarity so that we can act on our highest motivation, and then do our one tiny piece. Throughout history, it may not look like much, but we could be a Clare or a Saint Francis or a great being, a Buddha. All these beings that have come out of all traditions and who in their own way, like Gandhi, who changed the course of history in his country. We can do our bit, little or surprisingly big, to help, first of all, ourselves and those around us, and then all beings everywhere that we touch. And we thank you for doing your part